around on the various projects that we are currently working on, such as communications, website, tech projects, activities such as Hanamatsuri and Obon, and let you know how you can get involved. But a big shout out to Elise, Sue, Doug, and Brent for doing some hard work and pulling this all together to present to you. We'll start with Sue, who'll be talking about communications, right, Sue?
Oh, we cannot hear you.
Can't hear you, Sue.
Also, while Sue's getting her volume, can you guys see my screen? You should see Putra, not
I
mine.
see Putra.
Yep, yeah,
Yeah,
we got him.
Putra's there.
Got it.
So we're gonna cover all of these topics today from Bob just did a brief introduction covering, and we're also gonna cover communications, tech systems and infrastructure, landscaping, senior outreach, upcoming events, and additional questions and any next steps that you all might have.
Sue, you can't hear you. Ironic. Sue's doing communications too. Can't hear her.
Okay, is it connected to your external mic? You want me to do comms, or we can skip to tech and go back to comms?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Good idea.
Let's skip to tech and go back to comms. So, like Bob said, there's a bunch of things happening, and the purpose is, or the purpose of Putra's project today is just update you on different areas of work that are going on, and also to give opportunity to find some assistance in certain specific areas. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about our tech systems and support. This is something that has recently come up in the last year. It's become kind of a big thing because we've had to change the way that we communicate due to COVID. There's a lot more opportunity and projects coming up in the digital kind of virtual space. So the tech systems is not a real committee. It's a conglomeration of projects at this point right now. We're covering, there's several different smaller committees that are working on each of these projects, but I wanted to share them with you all for today. Some of you might have already heard about Salesforce. We're on this kind of campaign or initiative to align all of the different systems at the temple that we use for record keeping to create a centralized repository of information about people and activities. So Salesforce is allowing us, for those of you guys that don't know what Salesforce is, it's a cloud-based database, and it allows us to store information like, we're using it primarily right now for membership, and we push out Putra's posts from Salesforce. And it allows us to keep all of these different layers of information together. And we want it to really be adapted to temple processes and serve as kind of a central intelligence for our Sangha. So that's one, and we have a small but mighty team. Actually, it's a mid-sized team that's been working since about September to get this up and running. It's not something that we can really like snap our fingers and make it work. We're taking it on project by project and finding ways to adapt it over the coming year. So we're working with the membership committee very closely in this first quarter to run all of our membership information out of Salesforce. The next big project that we're going to do over the summer, we will likely work closely with Obon to kind of figure out how to run most of the Obon major communications out of Salesforce. And then as we come around the corner to the next school year, we're hoping to work with Dharma School for registration around running it out of Salesforce and creating a secure kind of centralized repository for all of that kind of stuff. So if you have experience with Salesforce, those are things that we're working on. On the tech support side, tech support has come out of a need. specifically related to events, but it could be larger. There's a very small but mighty team that manages an email alias. If we have questions that come up around finding Zoom links, accessing things. We've gotten some questions also around like general help with things like DMV registration, navigating some of that online for our senior populations, video editing questions as well. So the tech support email alias has become kind of just a catch-all. I also included just a screenshot of some of the documentation that Christy Matsumoto has made for us too around Zoom meeting operations and how to utilize Zoom, especially as we're transitioning to digital communications with service. So we have a tech support page that's also updated with these things, and we've had a couple of workshops. And we also do once weekly office hours on Friday mornings for anybody who might have tech questions to try to up-level the tech skills of the Sangha. Other projects that we're working on next on kind of our roadmap for the year is we would like to move to a Google Workspace, which means that we would be utilizing Gmail as the main driver for communications at the temple. So for those of you that may not be familiar, Gmail and the whole G Suite offers free email services to customers or to nonprofits organizations. And as a religious organization, we qualify. So that means that we could create individualized, centralized email addresses and centralized Google Drives for big projects like Obon or Sangha Day, and assign, access based off of Mountain View based email addresses, so that when we switch over year, you don't have all these documents in your personal Gmail. It's in a centralized Mountain View Gmail about Obon or about Dharma School or about the board, so the transition to Google Workspace is very new, but if anybody has any experience with moving over that way, that's one thing too. We are also, with all this digital transformation, we're trying to create a temple data use policy. And that's a big way of saying we want to teach and up-level the Sangha on how to think about data, and how we should treat things like separately, like what do we do with temple membership information? How long should we keep it? Versus how do we treat Dharma school registration information? Versus how do we treat any sort of donation information, directory contact information versus things related to health, like food allergies. So it's classifying information into these different structures and coming up with rules on how to treat it. So those are some fun projects on the docket for us this year. And this is our official ask. If any of you have any of these specific skills or have any experience in these areas, or if anything I said kind of piqued some sort of interest, we are looking for help and participation for our Salesforce Tiger team, which is a team that's working on implementation. We meet 90 minutes twice a month. If any of you have experience with Salesforce or interest in learning, please reach out to us at the link there, tinyurl.com/Putra's projects. Same thing with tech support. We would, right now we're just answering questions and helping with events, but we'd love to have provide John with some backup for events and Sunday services, things like that. So if you're interested in participating or being part of tech support, that would be great. Likewise, if you're interested in being part of the Google Workspace scoping team, again, we're super early on this, but we have started exploring Google Workspace as a tool for Mountain View. And also, if you have any experience with data use, access, policy creation, change management, we would welcome any of that input. So yeah. Sue, are you good with your volume now?
Testing.
Yay. Okay, let's go back. So I just did my tech stuff, but let's go back to Sue's communication slides.
Alrighty, here we go. So I am going to be explaining a little bit about these new communication efforts. I think I heard Elise talking about how this is the new normal and how we had to shift over to a lot of tech-based communications during COVID. For one thing, we do have now 3 websites that are Mountain View Buddhist Temple property. We do have the main website, which was pre-COVID. Sangha Connect is the site that we always point you to when we have events that are not Obon. So we're talking about Sangha Day Picnic, Keirokai, we had Mochitsuki, and now we are parking our Hanamatsuri event there. So that particular website is, it's basically yours as far as a community, and when your zone is in charge of one of these types of events, we will provide you with some training to actually manage that particular section of the site on your own. We do have our Obon site, which will also be this year with the Obon committee. They will be communicating the different aspects of Obon, not just to our internal Sangha, but also to the external, the general public. And this is again a site that we anticipate will live on post-COVID. Our main website is actually undergoing a very exciting facelift, and this is, you know, happening. We are hoping to have it ready by Hanamatsuri for an unveiling. So those are the, when I'm talking about the web team right now, those are, sorry, cat. Those are the basic properties that we're talking about. The 2 newsletters right now, I hope all of you are getting the Echo, if not in the mail, via email. And this is, you know, again, our traditional communication that we've had for years and years and years. And I you know, it will continue for hopefully years and years and years. And the Echo really is going to be our, not only our primary communication to those who do not have email access, but it also is a nice record of what our temple does. A lot of the reports that are in there are really talking about what happened for the month. In order for us to be able to get you tuned in for service as well as our events, we started Putra's Post, which is email based. But we're trying to keep a nice rhythm of having a weekly, somewhat weekly, what do you call it? Somewhat timely newsletter. It's an e-newsletter. And if you're not getting Putra's Post, let us know because you should be getting it. Content management, is Arakaki on? I wanted to hand it over to him to explain what that means.
Oh, hi, Sue. Thanks. Yeah, so as most of you know, I'm the temple historian, and Amy and I take a lot of pictures and occasional videos. And our photo archive is rather large, going back probably about 15 years. And with this new operations mode with COVID, I've actually had a lot of requests for old pictures of specific people or specific topics. And I don't have a really good search mechanism. And it takes a long time to fulfill these requests. So this is rather a new idea, but the idea is to migrate our collection over to some platform that we can search or do photo, facial recognition or things of that nature to aid in that process. And that would also go with videos. So that's sort of just a beginning idea at this point. Some other things that I'd like to look at is our library basically consists of things or photos that you know, we personally attend. And there's so much going on in the future, obviously, that I need other people to help take pictures and archive, and perhaps a way to upload. And I know the affiliate organizations typically have historians as well. So I'd like to have a way to ingest photos from others and then fall into this archive mechanism. So this is just in the idea stage at this point. So we'll be looking for ideas, platforms, and software. Turn it back to you, Sue.
All right, thank you. Next slide is like what Elise said. This is our official call for help. We want to let you know you don't need the experience to actually, join any of these teams. We will train. In fact, our web team, I'd say 4 out of the 6 of us were brand new to WordPress, which is the technology behind the websites. So yeah, we've got a good mechanism of getting people onboarded to these projects. So we welcome anybody who wants to learn, maybe get some experience in any of these projects. The website, like I said, is the engine behind it is WordPress. We do a little bit of graphic design work. Luckily, we have Christy Matsumoto, who's been on our team as well. But yeah, we can help train you, especially in Canva, which is really accessible. The email blasts, there is a little bit of Salesforce training that will be involved, but definitely Canva, which takes care of the photo blending and stuff. And all those forms that you've been filling out, we use primarily Jotform or Google Forms to create those, and we can if you already know those technologies, we'd love to have your help. If not, we can help train you. The time commitment, the web team meets right now about, we're meeting weekly until the launch. It might take between 2 to 4 hours a week. We need a lot of migration. We're migrating a lot of things. So that in itself, we would love to have some help. After that, I think the web team will probably require some maintenance with the calendar and movement of articles. So that we say 1 to 2 hours a week. Putra's post, it takes about 2 hours a week to assemble and push out. Right now, Elise and I are rotating on pushing that out, but we'd love to get other people in the rotation if possible. And like Eric said, the scoping of the content management project is forthcoming. So we'll figure out how much of a time commitment that will be. That's all.
Cool. Thanks, Sue. I think Doug is next. Tech infrastructure, which is not necessarily the name of anything, but it's describing
It works.
Doug's projects.
And they're not, and by all means, they're not my projects.
That's true. Sorry.
So thanks, Elise, and thanks, Sue, and thanks, Eric, for giving your wonderful presentations. Mine's a bit of an eye chart, and I'm not going to go through all these. I'm going to just leave this up and talk about stuff, but wanted to give, whereas Sue, Elise and Eric talked about the comms aspects, the apps, and the uses of the data and everything, I'm more focused on talking about tech infrastructure, and it's kind of like the plumbing behind the scenes, right? That things sit on top of, that things flow through, and that things run on. And we like it when people don't notice the things behind the scenes, because that means everything's working. But I didn't do a good job of clumping things together, but if you read through the list, there are really 3 focus areas that we could use help in and expertise in. So one is really networking and phone systems. So today we have a couple providers, picked that provide our internet services that our website sits on top of, that, our domain registration is done through, email accounts and things like that. We also have a hardware vendor that we've built our Wi-Fi network on. So whenever you are on campus connecting to MVBT or any of its subset of Wi-Fi networks, you're connecting to a Ubiquiti enterprise class Wi-Fi network. So lately it's been running really good, but sometimes it acts up. So one of the asks that we have today is if you are proficient in Wi-Fi technology specific or have an interest in it, we could definitely use your help there. We have some great tools. We have a Fluke Analyzer, which is a pretty fancy, snazzy Wi-Fi testing tool. It's actually really pretty expensive, but we really don't have a lot of bandwidth to use it because, or the expertise needed to use it. The other area of focus is security, both physical security and cyber. So if you have knowledge or interest in learning about that, we'd love to have you. And we have, once again, systems in place. One eye in the sky or big project that we look at someone to take interest and maybe help drive for us is video surveillance throughout our campus. Another one would be some kind of keyless access sometime in the future. So those types of things all have to fit into the system, right? Be tracked and monitored, and would also depend upon the network that we already have set up. And the last one that we could use some help in, I categorize as like general Office, computer skills, Windows, Mac, and I'm going to throw AV into there. Whenever a group needs projection and sound for a Dharma talk, you'll see a bunch of people, scampering around, setting up the screen, getting the LCD projector set up, getting the PA system set up. If you were one of those folks in grade school that used to help set up the movies, we want you. And as far as time commitments, it's really, as issues arise, we're putting together some specific plans around AV upgrades right now. So if you have interest in that, please reach out to us. But it doesn't take a lot of your time. We mostly are reactive right now, fixing things as things break, but would definitely love to speak with folks that are interested in any of these areas or have better suggestions, right, to the way we're doing things today. That's it, unless people have questions. I'm handing off to, is it landscaping?
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Korea.
Hello, can you see me?
Yeah.
I just turned on my video.
Yes, we can.
Wow, what a transition from tech to landscaping. Yeah, just wanted to put the word out there that our crew meets or has been meeting on Friday mornings from 8 to 12. And we just had a couple of guys retire last year. So we're looking for volunteers to fill the spot. Perhaps, well, right now we're just, for the past 3 months, we've just had sort of a skeleton crew come out on separate days to, keep the place clean and maintained. Because of the COVID restrictions, we can't gather right now. So this is something that I just want to put out there that we'll be looking for volunteers in the future, not right now because of the COVID restrictions. Hopefully we'll start to be able to gather, reconvene on Fridays pretty soon here. But so I'll put announcements out in the Echo and so forth with contact information. And anyways, just keep that in mind. Perhaps there are groups that can come out on a rotating basis, sort of like a Obon sort of type of thing, where people rotate. That can come out on Friday. So anyway, I think that's it. Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
And I'm next with senior outreach. So we've been meeting for senior outreach for a while, but I also realize that maybe not everybody knows exactly what's happening. So I wanted to provide some context around what senior outreach is. It's a very rewarding experience, I have to say. It actually formed in reaction to us going into shelter in place about a year ago now. Oh my God. And a bunch of volunteers got together saying, you know, what do we want to do to support our senior population? As a bunch of you probably are aware of, COVID has been isolating for many of us, especially for seniors that, you know, for reasons related to the pandemic, cannot leave their residences. They also can't gather with family and friends like they used to. Many of them have difficulty getting online. So it's a very diverse sort of population. And I never realized before getting involved with this that over a third of our temple membership falls into this category. So it's a very high need population area. And over the last several months, this has gone through a lot of different iterations, but this is the current state of what we're doing now. So the Senior Outreach Committee really manages these 4 project areas. So Jean Shimoguchi is leading the charge with her group of volunteers that's doing these super senior echo articles. I'm sure you guys have seen them in the in the echo. High level, our goal is to connect and engage with seniors. So we are really working towards connecting and engaging seniors in all these different ways. So Jean and her team are doing it through the Echo. They're featuring these senior stories and making sure that they get told. Everybody from the Higas and Mr. Makishimo was last month. I think Mr. Shidowara is coming up this month too. Like, so we have this roster of all these seniors that are being featured. We have Leslie Imai and her committee have been doing a lot of really great work in the senior care package area. So they deliver these quarterly delightful care packages to our seniors. They've been trying to do it through mail because gathering to actually compile packages and then delivering them out has been a little bit dicey during quarantine. But you know, there's different things like announcements or puzzles and little food gifts and other things like that in their little care packages, just to make sure that they know we're thinking about them. On a weekly basis, we've also had alignment and kind of help for senior activities. So some of you might be familiar with the Thursday senior activities group that's been meeting at the temple. They often go on like trips and they play, you know, they have things like knitting or crafts or games and other things like that, cooking. They haven't been able to do that since COVID started. So we've adapted to this. Sue Yuen, Linda Uechi, Sterling Wakishima, and Terry Hirota have been leading these, providing this online space for seniors to gather for exercise, sing-along, taiko, and once a month bingo as well, just to make sure that we're doing some sort of outreach for the people that feel comfortable on Zoom. And then most recently, I have been leading the Pandemic Pals initiative. We've been trying to get people adapted to online life. There are many seniors that just feel very uncomfortable with it. So for the people that are not comfortable getting online, we match them with a pal, a pandemic pal, who will write them a letter once a month and create kind of this like ongoing relationship with their senior, and communicate with them through non-digital means. So this is what's been happening in the senior outreach area. And here's my official request for volunteers. A lot of our committees are self-sustaining and they're doing really great. The 2 that could use more help are, one, the senior activities Zoom administration. And this is 1 to 3 hours a week, flexible. You don't need to be a Zoom expert to run this. I've heard that Amy Arakaki has stepped in to also kind of like she's training to help with some of these things. You know, there are different people, I think, along the way as we've started pandemic, you know, had 0 experience with Zoom and have gotten a lot more comfortable with it. So this is not necessarily an area where you have to be an expert. But if you have interest in or are maybe hosting an event soon, this is a place that you could come to that has a very welcoming and rewarding aspect to it, where you can, you know, practice running your own Zoom session and get some administration skills so that when it comes time for Obon or Hanamatsuri or the next Sangha Day picnic, you have experiences of what it's like to run a video and manage a Zoom event. So if you're interested, please reach out to us. And as you can see, there's wonderful people on these calls. They're very fun. And then Pandemic Pals, we've been able to service our 90 and over population very well, and also people who are who we haven't seen online for a long time. But I'd love to extend this out to seniors 80 and above. So if you're interested in being a Pandemic Pal, I also have 5 Pandemic Pals for the 90 over demographic. I'd love to get some of them off of my plate in the best way possible. They're lovely people, but it's a lot of, my hand gets sore writing all their letters. So if you'd like to, if you're willing to write letters or make phone calls to 1 or 2 seniors a month, please reach out to me via the tiny URL thing or through email. Because it's a very rewarding and fun experience. And now I hand over to Brian for Obon at Home.
Hello, I hope everybody's doing well. So, ooh boy, thanks Elise, you cleaned up my slide. but for all of you who may not know, we have decided that this year's Obon is going to be another virtual event similar to last year. But we're inviting all the affiliated organizations to submit videos once again. And we've had a lot of brainstorming events already, and we've gotten some ideas going along. So some of the ideas that got tossed around were favored memories from past Obons, games that were played and are no longer available for our current Obons, like Chuck-a-Luck and Roll-a-Ball. Some of the food booths that we've had, like Sushi Bar. Oh, and another thing that came up was ice cream. Memories of homemade ice cream that we used to have. Favored recipes is another topic. Cooking demonstrations, and whatever other ideas that you might have. We love to have any of the videos, and we need them by June 1st, which seems a ways off, but it'll be here really quick. So if you have any more questions, we will be contacting all the organizations directly also via email. But if you have other questions, you can contact Marilyn. Her email address is shown, and then my email. I'm going to use a different email for Obon. It's a Gmail account, because all the videos that we're going to get submitted, I know are going to overflow my old email account. So we're going to try it. I'm going to use this Gmail account for this. So hopefully we'll get a lot of videos submitted. Back to you, Elise.
Thank you. I think next is Hanamatsuri. Brent.
All right. Unlike last year, we are having Hanamatsuri at home. I know all of you have been missing pouring sweet tea over baby Buddha. So Dharma School is planning an at-home event for this year's Hanamatsuri program with interactive elements within the service. If you visit the website, we have details on the Great Hanamido Challenge, where we're encouraging all of you to create your own baby Buddhas and Hanamidos. We also have a template for people to print out and decorate your own flower petals for the chanting of Sambujo. So you can toss that around your house. And then we are pulling together a short program following service of different activities and performances and presentations. Look at or visit our sangha.mvbuddhisttemple.org website for that. And there's details on creating your own baby Buddha out of clay. And that's Hanamatsuri at home.
Thanks, Brent. I just wanted to make sure to show all of you this. This is so adorable. Christy Matsumoto came up with this recipe and idea to create your own baby Buddha. I think as part of this too, one of the things I was talking to John about is that it doesn't have to look exactly like the Buddha. Like it can be like the snowman representation, and like you can make your own like Play-Doh at home. Anyway, props to Christy. She always has these great creative ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that was it for all of our items. So we have a lot of projects happening. There's a lot of things going on around the temple. I wanted to open it up for questions in case does anybody have any questions about it? We talked about a lot of things, and this is recorded and we are going to distribute the recording so you all have it. But again, I wanted to encourage all of you to sign up for anything that might have piqued your fancy today to help out tinyurl.com/Putra's projects. But are there any questions out there? Doesn't sound like it. Okay. So if anybody is interested though in anything, again, please feel free to submit to tinyurl.com/Putra's projects. We promise not to pull you into everything. You can choose. But if anything piqued your fancy, please feel free to participate.
Oh, Elise,
Yeah, I can.
what's behind the tiny URL? Where'd that come from?
Oh, it's just a jot form.
Oh,
It's a way to
no
make
meaning?
like, because otherwise it's like jot form 0257BXYZ. So you just made it into a tiny URL.
Okay.
It forwards you to the form that we have created. We've been using tinyurl for the masks and for a lot of other things too. We can teach you how to make your own tiny URL if you want.
Yeah, so if you type in tinyurl/Putra's projects, it goes here to this form.
Elise, this is Sterling. Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Sure. Just for those that are on that don't feel they have the technical skill set, I had zero going into many of the projects that I'm helping on. And the team, Sue, Elise, Linda, and other individuals were very, very easy to work with. And they're good teachers to show us. So don't feel intimidated or feel that you can't do any of the projects, because they're good teachers. And it's pretty easy to pick up. And some of the tasks that are the Putra projects are pretty straightforward and easy to follow. Simple steps. But so please help us out. Thank you.
Yeah, huge props to Sterling. In 1 year, wow, we've gotten you going.
He's now DJ Sterling on all of the senior activities, serving up videos for every single event. Okay, if there are no more questions, I don't want to keep you all here longer than we need to, especially because for myself, lunch is coming up after this.
Pauline has a question.
Oh.
Do you
Yeah.
have to be a member to help out? Not at
Oh.
all. We welcome everybody.
Yes.
And even I will say, for at least for my projects, if anybody, for especially the tech stuff, we're looking for expertise in those areas too. So even if it's a non-affiliate, like if you're like, oh, I have a friend who might be able to help with this piece of it too, especially with the data use policy setting up stuff. Sterling and I have been trying to reach out to a bunch of different Buddhist temples to see how they're dealing with data use in the state of COVID, and we haven't gotten a lot of traction, so we would welcome any and all input there as well.
For the web stuff, if you have any, nieces, nephews, kids who want some WordPress experience, this is an excellent opportunity. Very low expectations. We're not gonna, we'll take all types.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you to all of our presenters this morning. Really appreciate it. So
Sounds good. Thanks everybody for joining and for listening to all of our crazy ideas and projects happening behind the scenes. But we really appreciate your time, and please reach out to us if you have any questions or want to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
bye,
Thanks.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.